Happy Friday, Team Red Tigers! Hope you're getting ready for that weekend. I just finished back to school night and we met so many of your awesome families. We couldn't be more excited for this school year. Today, we're going to jump in to some writing. It's going to be our first adventure in writing this year. I'm excited. So hopefully by now, you have your writer's notebook on your desk. If you don't, go ahead and pause the video and go grab your notebook. If you're already ready, go ahead and open your notebook. The very first thing we wrote in our notebooks was this title. It was pretty much a way to practice how we're going to write in our notebooks. We're always going to have the date up here at the top left. I like to abbreviate by putting the number of the month and the day. If you want to write it out or you put yours in a different order, there's a bunch of different ways it's acceptable, but we want to have the date because we want to track our progress. Then we had you put this title, The Story of My Personal Artifact, because that was the first thing we did this year. We thought, what's important? What's something I own that I would want to share with people that means something to me? So that's why we titled it that way. It was also, I was tricking you, our first way to brainstorm ideas for our first writing adventure. So today we begin the writing process. Some of you started this a little bit yesterday, and that's fine. And the rest of us are going to continue today. This same exact chart exists in the back of my classroom. If you go ahead right now and look by the clock, you're going to see this chart and a bright green arrow pointing to where we are in the writing process. We're going to use this as we go through the writing process to help guide us visually and remind us what step we're on. So we're on pre-writing. So we're generating ideas. Ideas for what? We want you to tell us a story as our first writing adventure. Could be a funny story, could be a serious story. We want you to tell us a story about you. So here's where I was saying I tricked you just a little bit. We've already been brainstorming ideas, even though I might not have said it out loud. We chose artifacts that are special to us. We described our artifacts to each other. We told the story of our artifacts. Then we spent time choosing words, images, etc. for our writer's notebook. So we've already kind of been dusting off those cobwebs and thinking, what's important to me and what's something I might want to spend time writing or thinking about. So that leads us to today. 923 and 924 in the top left of the notebook. Brainstorm and choose. So today we're going to brainstorm ideas. What story do I want to write about? What story do I want to tell? And then we're going to try and choose. Some of us might even get to start writing, but some of us might just spend the time thinking and deciding. That's okay too. So what kind of stories could I tell? Well, a time when something fun, silly, sad happened. The first time you learned something new. A time you laughed so hard you cried, saw something beautiful, visited a place, observed something interesting, confusing. Maybe when you couldn't get into your locker or showed up in the wrong math class in the last 2 weeks. Maybe it was, getting knocked around in the hallways would make a good story, right? So it can be absolutely anything. Just a good story you want to tell. I put some examples here that I brainstormed. Meeting my brother for the first time. My first brother's name is Brian, and he's my first sibling, so that was kind of cool, and I was young. A time when my brother threw something at me. That was not as fun. I got hurt. He threw something at my eye. He was little. When I decided to sew my own clothes, I started learning how to do that. The first time I realized I loved being backstage in theater, traveling to Greece with my sisters, and sitting in the backyard with my Nana at 61, which is the house number where I grew up. So these are my brainstorming ideas. And now I'm going to pick. Once you choose, we're going to have you go ahead and jump into writing out your story, which we call a flash draft. You might know it as a sloppy copy. It's basically a mess. It's our first shot at putting our ideas down on paper. And we want to do it quickly so we don't think too much about it. Please go ahead and review what you need. Let's get writing.